Hello, this is Dr. Janice R. Love, and thank you for visiting my YouTube channel. Today, we will be joined by Jim Marie Smiley, who is a licensed clinical professional counselor. And we're going to be having a conversation about it's never too late to rewrite your story. Despite the challenges that you may have been faced with in your life, you don't have to move forward with the same story. You can rewrite your story. So stay tuned as we have this conversation again with Jim Marie Smiley talking about it's never too late to rewrite your narrative. Join us. So tonight we are going to be joined by Jim Marie Smiley, and we're going to be talking about it's never too late to rewrite your story. So let me bring our guest in and let me tell you a little bit about her. Jim Marie is a licensed clinical professional counselor, and she brings a wealth of knowledge in the area of play therapy, marriage and family therapy, and trauma recovery. She has a master's degree in marriage and family therapy from Webster University, and she has made a significant impact in the area of education and counseling. Now, she calls herself your favorite therapist, a mother, a sister, a friend, and a fashion lover. And she is an overall ray of sunshine. She is the owner, the founder, and the CEO of Humble Hearts Counseling Services. She originally is from California and she lives here in the Kansas City area, married to Brandon with a blended family of six children. So, welcome to the stage, everybody. Jim Marie Smiley.
Hello,
Welcome.
everybody. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Dr. Love.
I am just so glad you're here. I mean, we're almost like neighbors when it comes to, where your office is and everything and where I used to do a lot of volunteer work for. And so you've been right here under my eyes. I've seen you doing some great things out there on LinkedIn and places like that. And I was like, I have to get in touch with her because she has got to be a guest on Asking for a Sister Friend. So I'm glad that the everything lined up and you are here. So tell us a little bit about what inspired you in the first place to get involved in marriage and family therapy.
So, a part of my why starts from childhood, just growing up as in a poor family where my mom started having her children at the age of 14. She had five of us, and she was a young mom and continued on to have kids in her 20s. I lost a brother who was 15 years old, and I was 4 years older than him, to some gun violence and gang stuff that they was really big in Minnesota. And losing my brother before he passed away, I realized that he was 15 years old. He was in like ninth or 10th grade, and he couldn't read.
Wow.
And I figured that out because I went to pick him up from jail because I was 18, and they allowed me to come pick him up. And he couldn't even sign his name. And so he just kind of told me, like, I can't read. I barely know how to write. So we started playing school in my living room. I had an apartment, and I was trying to teach him how to read, how to write in secrecy because, he was a boy's boy. So pretty much he was like, I don't want anybody to know about this. So I wanted to make sure that he could learn in private. So we used to play school all the time. And closer to the end of his life, we used to play school at my apartment in the living room. He did, of course, pass away shortly after that from a drive-by shooting. And I
Mhm.
just kind of stood back and thought, like, in hindsight, thinking about it, as I started to work with children, I have about 20 years of early childhood education experience. So as I started working with children, that was sort of my why for working with them. I was like, I don't want anybody to go through what my little brother went through, the life that I had to live, full of trauma and traumatic experiences. So I was like, I got to make sure that I can work with these little kids. After starting to work with the kids, I realized that the help that I was going to do had to be so much more intimate than just being with them in a classroom. So I decided to go on and do it more in a mental health capacity and become a certified play therapist. After working with kids in a play therapy setting, I loved it. I still do. I still work with some kids on that and do play therapy. But I realized that the family unit is where the work really needed to happen. I really needed to work with their parents to get them to realize what was going on with them in their life that was changing the way that their kids' life was going to end up in the future. Just looking at so many different aspects of how they were raising them, the things that were happening in their life, that kind of took me to a path where I was like, you know what? I want to work with the parents as well and make sure to do some parental guidance, co-parenting sessions and things like that, helping parents relieve stress, individual therapy, mainly with women. So I started to dip off into that work because I just was like, this has to be a whole child experience. And you can't really service the whole child without serving the family members as well.
And so many times, what's going on with the child is a result of what's going on in the home, right? And so
Absolutely.
it makes total sense that you can help the child only so much, and then they go back in the same environment with a parent who doesn't have the skill set to really help them. Wow. So you talked about you've been a teacher, having taught your brother, and then in the school setting, and then seeing that there were so many other challenges that, and you just didn't complain about it. You said, "I'm going to do something about it," and that's
Absolutely.
wonderful. It was a it sounded like it was a natural progression for you to move into not only counseling children but also the parents as well. Question for you: did you find that the parents were very receptive to getting this additional help?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay. Is it
Well, what
that
I
you're not
will
gonna
say,
tell me how to raise my kid, or what kinds of
oh,
feedback were you getting?
oh, it was kind of like, first of all, they assumed that I was young. So, like, how are you going to tell
Mhm,
me something? You're younger than me. Um, they assumed I didn't have kids because I have a slim build. And it was like, oh, I have kids, all these things. And then they were so defensive
mhm,
because that's just a thing where we guard our kids, we guard that experience that we give to them. And sometimes we just may not even know that it's wrong because of how we were
mhm.
raised and how we grew up. We may not even know that this is a broken system that we're operating in until somebody comes and shines a light on it in such a gentle way. It has to be a gentle approach. It can't be systematic where they think you're coming after me trying to dismantle my family.
Yeah, I can believe that because I know the dysfunction that I had coming up with the father who was often drinking on weekends, and it's something we wanted to keep in our little circle. We didn't necessarily want to for it to go outside of that. Now there are people, our neighbors, and everybody might have known some things, but we were trying to be active in the church and that kind of thing, and I'm not sure that we would have been receptive to any outside help.
Yeah,
And that brings us to another situation that, especially in the Black community, mental health care or mental health or mental illness is still a stigma. Can you talk a little bit about how we can move from where we are and what it's going to take for us to be a little bit more open about getting the kinds of help that we often need?
I think that as a community, whether, I mean, I know for sure as an African American woman, I know exactly what happened in my household when I grew up. But that doesn't, I can't say that that didn't happen in Hispanic households, Asian households, white households. I'm just not 100% sure what was happening in their households, but I do know in my household, what happens here stays here.
Hmm.
That was the narrative that was told to us, and that was how we lived our life. And people need to stop telling their children what happens here stays here. Stop
Hmm.
telling, your friend, girl, don't tell everybody your business. Don't tell everybody your business, but telling a therapist or a counselor, someone that can help you, it's important to be able to share that sort of business. But we want to make sure that, We can let people know that there are helping professionals out here who are not looking to use your traumas, the guilt and shame that you hold, the downfalls that you might have, not looking to use that against you, but looking to help and discover your strengths and help to take you to a different place. That's what we need to start to just recognize and realize that we need help, period. We need help as a community.
So often, being a pastor's wife, my husband he often ends up doing counseling. Okay, he is a Christian counselor, but for so many years, we as a people, in a sense, felt like the place that we should go with all of our challenges was the pastor. And maybe again, because oftentimes they were the ones that had to show up in the middle of the night when there was trauma at your house, or they had to visit your children in jail, or those kinds of things. But let's talk about what we can do from a church perspective to give people more information about types of services that they should be using versus trying to come to the pastor for everything.
Yeah, so on that subject, I always tell people that it's okay to have Jesus and a therapist. Like, it is okay. I mean, I'm a Christian woman, so sometimes if people allow religious beliefs into their sessions, then we will talk about it. We may pray, and I will tell them, if this is your belief system, pray about this. But to me, prayer is no different than a deep meditation. You could be in
Okay.
your closet, you could be in the bathroom. You are still using that breath work, talking to the Lord and waiting for an answer. You are sitting there in your silence and listening and, breathing and calming your body and self soothing. It's no different than when you're doing a meditation in a therapy office. You're just not speaking to the Lord at that time. You are just doing this meditation. I think where churches can help is normalizing people getting help.
Hmm.
Normalizing if you need a therapist, go see a therapist. Normalizing if you have a mental illness that's a psychotic illness, go get medication. Just normalizing going out and seeking help, and then also providing a resource list for church members to say, you know what, I'm going to go one step further than just standing up here and telling you to go find somebody. Here's a list of people. Here's a website that you can go to that where you can find someone who has a similar belief system as you do that can help you through the storms that you're going through. And then you still can come back and talk to me about the help that you got.
I love that, because so often, again, we as individuals will approach myself or my husband, and of course, we some things we can handle. Again, maybe if there's some family things going on, that's fine. But if they truly need some, again, medication, or they are dealing with a something that needs a lot more intervention, we definitely tell them. But imagine having resources around for people to grab, put them in the bulletin wherever, to let people know about things. So as I think about what we do in our own church, every May we might have like a mental health awareness moment. We have this ministry that is called the Hope Health and Health Ministry, where it was primarily designed to focus on cancer. But over the years, what we have done is we have expanded it to other things, including mental health, because we want people, again, to, it's normal. It is, there are so many things that are related to our mental health that we're dealing with on an everyday basis, whether it's stress, whether it is depression, anxiety, all these things that we deal with. And that doesn't mean you're what they used to say back in our day, crazy, right?
Mm.
They used to say that, oh, she's crazy. And we have to stop using terms like that and let people know that it's normal. People at whatever point in your life, you're going to encounter a mental health challenge, right? Is there a
Right.
certain ratio or any kind of numbers out there that say one in every whatever experience mental health challenges in their lifetime?
I'm sure there is. Most recently, I looked up the amount of African American women in like
Uh-huh.
2022 and 23,
Uh-huh.
and they had like 41% of African American women sought help from a mental health professional. And I thought that was big because that's
Mhm.
not what we do. We operate on this system where it's like we have this superwoman syndrome that we go through where we think that
Mhm.
we were raised to be nurturers, we're raised to take care of everybody else, we were raised to make sure that the food was there, the house was clean. Even if we worked a job, this still happens. That
Mhm.
doesn't stop you from having to make sure you maintain those things. And then we were also taught that everyone else is above us and we need to make sure we're taking care of
Mm.
everybody else before we take care of ourselves, which is really backwards.
It is
Like,
it is so backwards.
how can you pour into someone else when you don't even have your cup full or even halfway full? But we, as especially African American women, do it so often because that's how we were raised. That's what our belief system is, and no one has told us that it's okay to take care of yourself and then pour into everybody else what you got.
I love that. And as we're going to take a little break here, but when we come back, I really want to start talking about this rewriting your story, the types of things that we need to definitely rewrite our story. So let's go back to asking for a sister friend with our guest, Jim Marie Smiley. And again, we are talking about how to rewrite your story. So when I think about my own life, that is literally what I have done. I have rewritten my story. Again, having been married and divorced from a pastor, becoming a stepmom, of starting out a very frustrated stepmom. And again, things changing, looking at things from a different standpoint. I have literally rewritten my story, the story that I want to move forward with. So let's talk a little bit about what it means to rewrite your story.
So I can't even talk about rewriting your story without talking about my mom. I, at some point, well, I think I was 15 years old. I was going to move to California. I am actually from St. Louis, but I didn't. I've only lived there for till when I was about 5. I moved to Minnesota, and then at some point, life got really challenging and hard. And my mom said, "You know what? I see better things for you. How about going to live with your aunt and uncle in California?" So I was
Mm.
like, okay, it's warm there. I didn't really think of it. And before I left to go, my mom said, I want to tell you something. I want to be serious because she was a jokey joke person. And she said, when you get there, I want you to know that these people don't know you. They've never
Mhm.
met you. They never met your family. They don't know who you are. You can go there and be whoever you want to be. You can go there and be your true self, who you can't be here in your home because of your siblings and your family structure. But you can go there and be whoever you want to be and just start new. And that stayed with me for the rest of my life. And that was kind of how, when I became a therapist, that was big for me, helping people to rewrite their story. I always tell people you're still breathing. It's never too late to rewrite your story. And what I mean by that is figure out how you want to show up from this day forth. Figure out the barriers in your life that are stopping you from doing the things that you want to do. Make some larger overarching goals of things that you want to achieve. And then we definitely have to break those up into mini goals because that's how we get stuck in a rut. We have these large goals that we want to do and we don't really think it through. You have to break those down into smaller assignments so that you can have the rewarding, ness of the wins. Those little wins matter so that you can keep going. You figure out how you want to live, what career you want to be in, what friends you want to surround yourself with, all those things. You could just totally rewrite your story and just keep going. You just have to stay focused and be consistent. Discipline is so important as
I
in
love
anything.
that. I love that story. So that inspired you when your mother said that. It
Absolutely.
was true. You could be whoever you wanted to be. Unlike, these days with the internet where people are somebody they're really not. They're really not. But that was an
Mhm.
opportunity. So is that something you share with your clients when you're talking with them? about rewriting?
Sometimes with the teens, I share with the teens sometimes when they're going through a struggle time.
Mhm.
And they're just kind of like, well, I'm here, I'm not there. But, I share with them like, hey, it's never too late to pivot. People use the term now, pivot.
Mhm.
This is pivot time. I share it a lot at my, I work at a job, Community Link, where I'm a director of clinical services. I shared a lot with the community there, just giving them hope like, hey, it's not too late for you. Let's rewrite your story. Actually, we're rewriting some stories. We got some blank books that I ordered, and we're rewriting some stories 2 weeks from now. This is just something that you need to start, whether it be with a group, whether it be with a counselor, a therapist, a life coach. You can have a group of friends sit with you, but really you need somebody to help you to think it through, be realistic, think about things that are achievable for you, even if you have to do the stair step of achieving things. Like, yes, I want to have this huge house and this luxury car, but right now I need to just focus on getting a car that may not be that
Mhm.
luxury car yet, and getting my credit cleaned up so that I can even afford to qualify to buy a house. So we just kind of help people focus on the realistic approaches to those bigger long-term goals.
So many times we associate moving forward with some things when we are in some life changes, whether it's a new relationship, a retiring, which I had to start rewriting my story when I retired. But it's really about wanting your life to be what you desire and stepping out to start the process to get from point A to point B, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, some people have health goals, they have fitness
mhm,
goals, they have eating goals. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything huge. Even they have mental wellness goals, like, I don't want to be depressed anymore. Like,
mhm.
let's figure this out. And then of course, we have to rewrite the story because sometimes you need to clear your surroundings and sort of regroup. Sometimes you need to clean the house and rearrange your furniture. There's certain things that you might need to do to help aid you in feeling better so that you can even get out of bed that day to even start rewriting the story.
Okay. Okay. So let's share what you're doing at Humble Hearts. So you primarily see individuals. Talk a little bit about what you do at Humble Hearts.
So, Humble Hearts Counseling Services is a group practice. We have about 7 clinicians, including myself. I primarily see women and children, and I see families as well. So that encompasses dads too, in the family unit. I love, love, love working with kids doing play therapy. I take that all the way up into teenagers. And if I'm doing family therapy, there's play therapy as well that works well with the family. I also love working with women and empowering them to create change in their life, which includes rewriting that story. But we want to take you from a fixed mindset to a growth and change mindset, and empowering them to know that they can do it, whatever they put their mind to. People don't believe that saying, but it's so true. Other clinicians, they use cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, art therapy, some music therapy. I have a few more play therapists. So we have a wide range of clinicians. Some of them are LGBTQ plus. Some of them are, they work with biracial adoptees. There's such a nice range of providers that we have. We take Kansas Medicaid. We take a lot of other insurances, and we also take private pay. And we have interns too that have low cost services.
Okay. And so you're located here in Olathe, Kansas.
We
And
actually have 2 locations.
okay. Oh, tell us where the other location is.
So one location is in Olathe, Kansas, like you said. The other location is in Merriam, Kansas. And we also work with a couple of partnerships right up the road from us. We are working with, oh, why can't I think of their name? We have a partnership right up the road from us where we work with adults that are dealing with mental health illnesses. They have a day program, and we work with them. And then we also our interns work in Community Link to help to provide group services and a variety of different modalities of mental health services for the community there.
So you really started off seeing children, and then this is expanded into a full service mental health organization or counseling service.
Absolutely. Yeah. I started off as an intern because that's required for this field,
Uh-huh.
seeing children from the Boys and Girls Club, and then also seeing adults from a halfway house. It was women that were coming out of prison and they were in the transition of a halfway house. So that
Hmm.
was perfect to just start, talking about rewriting
Hmm.
stories and changing narratives.
Okay. So if someone wants to find you, again, they can go to Humble Hearts Counseling, which we .com, and they can also follow you on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn under at Humble Hearts Counseling. All right. So I had a question stuck in my head that I forgot. So I also know that you also have a desire to move to do start doing more coaching. You want to talk a
Yes.
little bit about that?
Yeah, so I have an organization called the Lazy Life Coaches, where our tagline is practical solutions for busy professionals. Once we get our website up and going, there will be a coaching corner where people can go and take mini courses, where they can do work on things like time management, organization, kind of those executive skills that we sort of get stuck in sometimes, and we don't really know how to pull ourselves out of that. So then there also is one-on-one coaching as well. There's three of us who are in this organization. It is myself, Jim Marie Smiley, Brandon Smiley, and then Rashonda Price. We all three have different modalities and different niches that we like to use, and we are just searching for busy professionals who want to use our practical solutions and don't have a lot of time to get from one point to the next point. We also work with organizations too to kind of do some team building, team morale, and kind of help them move from one space and learning some new skills to kind of work more cohesive.
Now I have to ask, since your husband does work for you, right? He
Yes,
is
ma'am.
the COO of your practice.
He is our chief of business operations.
So how did that happen? How did you convince him to come
You
work with you?
know, I he saw that it was organized chaos, to say it nicely, what I was doing, and he is very much organized, structured, so different from me. He's organized, structured. He has things together, very business minded, and had tons of experience as in executive leadership. So I was like, look, I just need you to help me, and he said, you know what, I got you, and he has turned things around. It has been phenomenal, the work that he's done. He really loves coaching and working with people. And with those executive skills, he does amazing work just helping people to get from the mindset of I'm stuck here to more of a growth mindset where they can get to moving on with their career and in their career.
I love it. Last week, our guest was a pastor's wife who her husband was her boss because she was the executive pastor. So you all have flipped it around where your husband is you're his boss, and I love it. The fact that you can both use your strengths to be able to be successful. So do y'all have to separate things at home from work? How do y'all do in that area?
I think we're always working. It's always a work conversation. Good morning. Did you XYZ? That's how it starts. So, I mean, we need to do better with those work home life balance boundaries, but the phone never stops ringing. People are always needing help, and it is always our job to answer and try to help. So, I don't think it stops.
I got you. I got you. I love it. I just had to ask because that's always curious for me because my husband and I can work together, but if one of us is the boss, that might be a little more challenging.
Honestly, he runs most of everything, and if we just call me the boss. He runs all of it, really.
I got you. I got you. So yeah, you talked about the phone ringing all the time. So I'm putting up the number. So if anybody needs to call to schedule an appointment, again, whether you are it's for a child or if you are an adult seeking services, definitely you can call Humble Hearts Counseling Services at this number. So we are rounding up this conversation, and so this is asking for a sister friend. So if there is a woman out there who feels like she's at a point that she wants to rewrite her story, but doesn't quite know where to start. What would you share with her today?
I would just share some encouraging words to say, you have the power and the control to change your narrative. We don't realize how powerful we are in our lives. We just kind of sit by and let things happen to us. But you have the power. I had the power. Dr. Love had the power to get up and change any situation that we are in. We can't change the past. Those things happen to us, but we definitely can change what happens for us in the future and get up out of our couch, out the couch. Because when you're depressed, you're kind of in the couch. So I always say get out the couch and get moving and start to change the narrative, have a growth mindset, and rewrite the story. So just reach out for help. It doesn't have to be Humble Hearts, it could be any mental health service, it could be a life coach. Just let somebody help you help yourself.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. And again, I can't wait to hear about the Lazy Life coaches, the things that you guys are going to be doing to really help busy professionals, because we as busy professionals, we are too busy oftentimes to even make the necessary changes that we need to make, or again figure out easier way to do things, because so many times we're working and we're just spinning our wheels without having a more focused, more deliberate approach to getting whatever it is that we have to do to get done. All right, so I am going to share a scripture with you that I
Okay.
always share towards the end of our conversation. And it's from Proverbs 27 and 17 from the Good News Translation. It says, people learn from one another just as iron sharpens iron. And I must say today that you have definitely sharpened my iron. And I appreciate the things that you are doing to help individuals, to help families, to help children. You are doing some great work out there. I've looked you up and I know some of the things that you're doing. You're doing a great work out there. So keep up the good work. And of course, since we are pretty close around here, we'll stay in touch. So I always know what you're doing. And then, when the Lazy Life coaches get ready, I'll be happy to feature the Lazy Life coaches here on Asking for a Sister Friend.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate you and your time.
Oh yes, we had a few comments here. They really love. I love Jesus and my therapist. And if you don't take anything home today, know that even as Christian women, even as Christians, there are times when we need to have true mental health care from a licensed professional. So again, you might talk to your pastor, but if your pastor out there, please recommend that they get the help that they need. Don't try to take on something that is not yours. Again, refer them to someone who is equipped to handle the situation, and then they can come back and report to you their progress. How's that? All right.